Welcome to a new edition of the Famous Interviews with Joe Dimino. On this episode, we talk with German-based human archaeologist and international best-selling author Patricia Lindner. She is ultimately a spiritual career alchemist, creative instigator, an empath, intuitive healer, and empowering mentor on the journey from seeker to finder. She is the founder of Compass from Within TM. She has over 17 years of experience in teaching, training, coaching, and healing. She stands for the 4 I's: integrity, inspiration, intuition, and making an impact in the world. She gets into all of this and so much more. Enjoy. Well, hey, it's great to connect with you. Thank you for taking a minute out today. I appreciate it.
Sure.
So I'm going to start everything off here by asking you about living through COVID. You know, the last couple of years have been quite trying. How did you survive COVID, and how has it changed the way that you approach life now?
Interesting question. I didn't think about this one. I survived it pretty well because I think a couple of months into the pandemic, I decided to not participate. So I just decided to protect myself energetically and also with my mindset and not fall into those traps of fear and anxiety. And I think that worked out pretty well. What about you?
Yeah, I mean, you just kind of have to rely on being, smart and instinctive. And where exactly in the world are you at now?
I'm in Germany.
Okay, all right. Yeah, and I think every country had their way that they were kind of doing things. So I think that was probably another part of how this worked. But I tried to get out, in the car, go to see nature and to do things as much as I could in some kind of regular capacity. So just tried to keep living the best I could. So, but it sounds like what you did was wonderful, and that's the way it should be. I mean, you got to keep living your life. You can't. You want to be safe, but you also want to keep living your life. So
exactly.
So let's get a better handle on exactly what you do for a living. And I want to put you in front of a bunch of third graders at a career day. And one of the kids will look at you and look up and say, "What do you do for a living?" How do you answer them?
I help people shine their lights. That would be the very first answer to that question. I help people be at their very best so that they don't listen to what is going on in their head, because oftentimes there are a lot of voices in people's head, and I want them to listen to their heart. So that's what I would say in front of a third grader.
So when you were in the third grade, what did you want to be when you grew up?
Woo! You ask questions. So I guess so there are several things, but when I was in the third grade, I wanted to be either a movie star or not a movie, maybe theater star, acting on stage, or being someone who works for like a missionary and helping people, where people live with disadvantages. And I thought about really helping people, guide them on their way, and maybe open up a school somewhere where they don't have schools. So that was my thought. So those two things, the missionary and the movie star.
Are you happy with how everything turned out?
So maybe that's so I just had to smile because I really thank you for that question, because sort of what I do now is what I dreamt of. So my background is being a teacher and a teacher's trainer, so I can really teach people, and I taught kids. And so that's sort of the missionary, and also what I do with my coaching and consulting. And then I love speaking. I love guiding people through improv, and I do improv in the afternoon with kids on some days. So I'm sort of a small movie star and speaker, and at the same time, I feel I'm a teacher, a missionary on the mission to help people shine their lights.
So you obviously have a spirit in you that is highly driven and giving and wanting to help. And I'm curious, it all goes back to our childhood. Talk to me a little bit about your childhood and how these seeds got in you.
Yeah. So I guess when I talk about my childhood, you are so right that the seeds oftentimes are planted in childhood. And I feel like through my upbringing, I learned how to be a perfectionist, be someone who does things on her own, really living sort of an adult life when I was still a child, being very independent. The flip side was being a people pleaser. Always fitting in. And so what happened to me throughout my childhood, I oftentimes got into situations where I had disadvantages, where I felt like odd man out. And I guess this is when I developed this instinct to help myself so that I can help others.
The other part of you being driven the way you are, it's really important for us to have people that we look up to. Who's been a hero or a role model for you in your life?
Yeah, then I have to take my teacher's trainer when I was a young teacher. And his name, so he passed away a couple of years ago, unfortunately. And he did things in a very unorthodox way. So he was supposed to really fulfill what the system told him to do, but he was this paradise bird. And he always encouraged me to embody the true personality, to think outside the box, to be a revolutionary in a system that is a little bit like black and white. And so he always pushed me to my creative limits and beyond. And I'm so thankful for him pushing me in this direction in a very loving way.
So if you can meet anybody alive on the planet right now and talk to them, who would it be?
So, but the person needs to be alive?
No, they can be either.
So if I could take anyone, so not alive, I would take Mary Magdalene.
Yeah.
That was the first person that came to my mind. I would love to have a beautiful, deep conversation with her about how things really went back then when she was alive. Yeah.
So you have over 17 years in teaching, training, coaching, and healing. And, during that time, you have to give of yourself. This isn't, you're not in a profession where you don't give of yourself and you have to help people. How have you balanced that in your life? How have you been able to give yet hold enough for you to satisfy what you need in your life?
Yeah, so I think this is part of which not always functioned well, and that's why I stopped my career. That's why I transitioned into something else, something different. That is why I developed my coaching business and why I did a lot of self-development, because I think I gave too much and I was so much of this everybody's darling people pleaser type of person who wanted to everything perfect. So this question, so I think like 6 or 7 years ago, I didn't pay attention so much to my needs. And I had to learn it the hard way because my body overreacted and produced a lot of pain. And then I listened. So I think I didn't listen to the whispers of the body, but I listened when the body was really shouting at me or screaming. And now, so over the last 6 years, I have been really slowing down, being a lot in nature, painting, doing mental hygiene, taking some time for myself, even though I have 2 kids, I take some days where they are exclusively for me, where I have joy and fun just for myself with what I like, and also with my family, of course. And yes, I guess that's what I can answer.
Every day you wake up, you have an agenda, you have things that you want to do and complete. What drives you? What drives you to wake up and to do your work? What is it that ultimately motivates you?
Making an impact. That is totally clear and crystal clear when you ask this. It's making an impact. I want to leave the world, hopefully not before I am like 88 or 90. I want to leave the world as a better place, and that I can say I made an impact. In big or small, I made an impact. I want to make an impact.
So let's take you to the end of a day. How do you quantify a good day? How do you say, yeah, that was a great day?
If there was laughter, if there was connection, then I think about things that I am grateful for that happened during the day. And oftentimes even a so-called mistake is something that you can be grateful for, because it's like a learning curve and it's like a pointer to the direction that is more aligned. So I do some meditation in the end, or at the end of the day, that has a lot to do with calming the mind and with being grateful for small moments, big moments, and especially connection and moments filled with joy.
So as someone that's a writer that obviously loves reading, you know, we all have these moments growing up where we find that book that opens the window door, so to speak. What was the book for you that really made a huge impact, that either made you want to read more or write?
Okay, so I could really mention 1,000 books because I'm a bookaholic.
Huh.
And so you're right. And the first book that comes to my mind is Michael A. Singer, Untethered Soul. I love the book. That was a couple of years ago when I read it. But there are many more. But this is really a book about the voices in your head and how to detach from those voices.
What has been one of the best fan letters or client responses that you've ever gotten from the work, whether it's been writing or coaching, education, anything that you've done? What's been the best response that you've always remembered that you got?
Yeah, I have the voice of my client because I did a video testimonial, and her answer when I said, could you really say it in one sentence what my work did for you, or the work that we did together did for you? And then she said, Patricia changed my life. And I think this is such a big thing when someone says, this is a sustainable, deep work that we did together and you changed my life in many aspects.
Based on the wisdom that you've gained in your life, the roads you've been down, what you've experienced, you know, we all live and learn. And I'm curious, if you have a dream tonight and you run into your younger version, say in your 20s, and you could give that version of you one piece of advice based on what you've lived and learned and the wisdom that you've gained in life, what would you tell your younger version?
I would tell my younger version that she should not put on any masks, and I'm not talking about the COVID masks, but not mask the true self that oftentimes got this intuitive hit of something that was misaligned with what she liked. She knew it. She always knew it. But nevertheless, she said yes, if also she meant no, or vice versa. So I would say just follow this intuitive hit. This is right, and don't mask it.
Everyone out there has a perception or an idea of who they think you are, your family, your friends, your clients, your readers, but ultimately you're in control of your life. You live your life. What's your perception of you? Who do you think you are?
I'm a grounded free spirit. That's my perception.
Wonderful. So, Patricia, if anyone out there wants to learn more about you, your books, your services, anything related to your world, where's the best place for them to go?
Yeah, I would invite them to go to my website, which is www.patricialindner.com. That's the easiest way to get all the information. And of course, they can find me on Instagram or LinkedIn. Yes, that's the way how they can reach me.
Wonderful. Patricia, it's been wonderful to finally catch up with you. This was fascinating. Thank you for opening up your world for a little bit, and have a great 2023.
Thank you. You too, Joe.
Thanks for tuning in to another famous interview with Joe Dimino, where we cover the world of art, literature, business, spirituality, music, and more from around the globe. If you want to hear more interviews, visit the Famous Interviews with Joe Dimino channel on YouTube and Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Thanks again for listening, and until next time.